Good morning, friends, and welcome to New Garden Friends Meetings Digital Worship. One of the things that is important here at New Garden Friends Meeting is that we make time during our worship time together to welcome one another, and that we extend that warm, loving welcome as widely as we can to everyone who comes through our doors. And we make space for all here at New Garden Friends Meeting. In the spirit of that welcome, I want to say that you are welcome here in this digital online space, that the love and care of New Garden Friends Meeting surrounds and uplifts you. And I want to invite you to take a few moments to welcome one another digitally. If you are a member or attender at New Garden Friends Meeting, feel free to text or Facebook message or email someone else from New Garden Friends Meeting. Say hello, check in, extend that warm welcome to one another. And you can take a few moments as I go through announcements this morning to go ahead and do that. And if you are joining us here for our live worship, and you are not a regular member or attender at New Garden Friends Meeting, go ahead and just put your welcome, if you would like to, put your welcome and hello into the comments. And if you're pop a hello into the comments, maybe others can take a few minutes and say hello back, and we can have a little bit of time to greet one another in that way. So if you do not have contact information for those here at New Garden Friends Meeting, feel free to just put your hello and welcome into the comments, and we can welcome one another that way this morning. I do have several announcements to make this morning. My first announcement is that I know that something that we are all thinking about right now is when and how we will be moving out of social distancing, and when we can start worshiping together in person here at our meeting house again. And I don't have an answer to that question right now. We do have a wonderful group of people here at New Garden Friends Meeting, a task group that specifically was put together to face this COVID-19 situation. And that group will be making the decision about when it's safe for us to start gathering again in person. And we don't know when that will be exactly. And right now I know that it's easy to really feel eager for that. I know that I am just so anxious for the time that we can be together again in person. I just miss you all so much, and I can't wait for when we can be together in person. But I also know that social distancing is something that is really more of a marathon than a sprint, and that we need to wait until it's truly safe for us to gather again as a community. So will that be sometime in May? Will it be in June? I'm just not sure right now, but I would ask for your patience. We are working on that question. We're talking about it. We're thinking about it. And I hope that it will be as soon as it can be. And I'm looking forward to being back together with all of you. My second announcement is that, again, this week I am doing worship alone here at New Garden Friends Meeting, but our wonderful music director, Mark Alley, has prepared music for worship this morning. So I will be posting the link to the music that he has prepared into the comment section of this video. So as soon as I end the live stream, I'll go ahead and post that link so that you all can enjoy the music that Mark has prepared for us this morning. And I know it's not quite the same as having him here with me in person, but he's done a wonderful job preparing music for all of you today. And my last announcement is, for those of you who don't know, although I think most of you may already know this, I do a live stream on Wednesdays at 1 o'clock here at the New Garden Friends Meeting Facebook page. Generally, I pick poetry to read with all of you, and I have some queries that can help you get through the rest of your week and maybe be spiritually grounded in the midst of this chaos. So if you are looking for some inspiration in the middle of your week, something to lift your heart in the middle of the week, I am here on Wednesdays at 1, live streaming here at the New Garden Friends Meeting Facebook page, and you of course can watch the video after 1 o'clock. After it's over, it will save to the Facebook page and you can come and watch the video anytime. Those are my announcements this morning. I would like to share with you all the reading that I selected for worship today. It is Psalm 19, verses 1 through 6. The heavens are telling the glory of God, and the firmament proclaims God's handiwork. Day to day pours forth speech, and night to night declares knowledge. There is no speech, nor are there words, but their voice is heard. Their voice goes out through all the earth, and their words to the end of the world. In the heavens, God has set a tent for the sun, which comes out like a bridegroom from his wedding canopy, and like a strong man runs its course with joy. Its rising is from the end of the heavens, and its circuit to the end of them. And nothing is hid from the sun's heat. Friends, I would invite you to join me for a few moments of silent prayer this morning. On my heart this morning are particularly those friends who are living in retirement communities that are on lockdown right now, and those who cannot receive visitors because of that. Also this morning, I'm thinking of those members and attenders here at New Garden Friends Meeting who are ill, who have experienced injury, who have recently had surgery. And also on my heart this morning are all of the dedicated folks who are working at hospitals, who are working so hard to treat those who are ill during this very difficult time. And I know all of you have others who you're holding in your heart and lifting up into the light. Also this morning, I'm thinking of all of those who have experienced a loss in the last several weeks. This is a very difficult time to have lost a loved one. So those are the people who I'm lifting up in the light this morning, and you may have others as well who you are lifting up in the light. So let's take a few moments together and hold all of those, our country and our world, in the light this morning. Gracious and loving God, may your holy presence surround and uplift all those who are suffering. God, may your love and care bring rest and peace to all those who grieve. May you bless all of us with strength and courage with the resilience that we need as we face each day before us. These days are so uncertain, God. May in these moments you be our rock, our sure foundation, because your faithfulness and goodness and love are unceasing. Amen. Friends, thank you for joining me in prayer this morning. As many of you may know, this past Wednesday was Earth Day. It was the 50th Earth Day that has been celebrated in this country. But even had it not been Earth Day this week, my mind has often been on the natural world. Since we have all gone into social distancing, I have been checking in with new gardeners by phone and email, by Facebook Messenger, or by text message. And something that I hear again and again throughout those conversations is a thankfulness for the spring here in North Carolina. And as many of you know, I have family in upstate New York, and the spring has not really come yet to upstate New York. And so every time I speak with one of my family members who are experiencing snow and cold weather, I feel a deep sense of gratitude for the spring here in North Carolina, which has bloomed so beautifully among us in the last few weeks. I have heard that friends here at New Garden Friends Meeting have been doing gardening, that they've been clearing land, that they've been taking long walks outside, that they've been hiking or biking or sitting in the sun on their porches, tending their house plants, enjoying the views from their windows or balconies or patios, that they've been feeling the warmth of the sun on their faces as they sit by a window, that they've been taking time to feel the breath in their lungs move in and out, that they've been laying on the grass and looking at the clouds, or at night looking up at the stars, that they have been feeling deeply connected to the world all around us. My life during this pandemic has been chaotic, even on good days, and the pace of my life has remained busy, but still, things have truly changed for me and my schedule. I'm not in my office the way that I typically am during the week. I'm not running out to do pastoral visits or sitting for long hours in the hospital or in retirement communities. And so for me, even with the busyness that has been my daily life, I have found more time to connect with nature. My daughter, who is 5, has been planting things this spring. I know next to nothing about planting things, and I can only manage to keep succulents and cactuses alive here at my office at New Garden Friends Meeting. But my daughter loves all kinds of growing things, and so we have been trying to encourage her in that. Many days recently, I have sat out on the steps of my porch and I've made phone calls for work or responded to emails or done writing while my daughter tends her little plants in her little garden bed next to me. Also, in the last number of weeks that we have been practicing social distancing, many days when I have felt completely undone by all of the death and the suffering that's happening in our country right now, by all of the uncertainty and stress of this moment that we're in. Many days when I feel that way, I go outside and I take a long walk. I find that if I walk and I walk and I walk, eventually my mind will turn blank And eventually all I will see and think about are the flowers around me, and the sun, and the grass, and the trees, and the breeze, and the earth beneath my feet. Many mornings I go running at first light as soon as the sun starts to come up. And when I go running in the mornings, I feel that promise of something new. That promise of the dawning of a new day, no matter how dark or gloomy it may be, that the new day brings that slow unfurling of hope. And every time I am out there at first light, I feel that new hope growing within me. I wonder if perhaps so many of us are feeling connected to nature right now because we've just had a little extra time. Our schedules are a little bit different than they were before. And in that extra time, we have been reminded of something that we have always known is true. That we are not separate from nature. That we are part of creation, just like the grass and the trees and the birds and the air. In the psalm that I shared with all of you just a few moments ago, we feel this sense of that tie between the divine and the natural, between the divine and us. In the psalm we hear this: the heavens are telling the glory of God, and the firmament proclaims God's handiwork. Day to day pours forth speech, and night to night declares knowledge. And I know that this passage says speech, but I understand this passage to be about song, to be about rhythm. It is the rhythm of the world that I hear in this passage, the song of creation, that song that connects so deeply to the human heart because it is the same song that we carry within us. What we Quakers like to call the inner light, that rhythm of creation that is within us. It is the song of the trees and the birds and the plants that are pushing up through the dirt, the deer in the forest, the mist that rises from the grass. It is the song of our heartbeats and the air moving in and out of our bodies in our breath. It is the song of the sun playing on our skin or the breeze in our hair. It is all the same song, the song of creation. A song that praises the powers that are greater than ourselves, the mysterious movements of the universe, the divine mysteries. This reconnecting with that song has led me to feel hopeful, and not just in the moment, and not just because it seems to settle some of my anxieties, but also because it has made me wonder what our world will look like as we begin to ease out of social distancing. The magazine Wired, which many of you may know, reported on COVID-19 and how this pandemic could or has affected our environment. They reported on this in an article that was published on April 21st. The article, which was written by Matt Simon, is entitled, "How is the Coronavirus Pandemic Affecting Climate Change?" It reports on some really hopeful news. Here is one quote from the article. Back in February, an analysis by the climate group Carbon Brief found that as the pandemic seized hold of China's economy and heavy industry shuttered, emissions from that country plummeted by an incredible 25%. Another analysis by Carbon Brief in early April estimated that globally this year, emissions could fall by 5.5% from the 2019 levels. That figure may seem low, given that fewer cars are on the roads and industries have stalled. But with context, it is truly stunning. The article goes on to say that the news is not all good. Disposable plastic in the United States is up dramatically this year, and the low cost of oil will also have a negative effect on our climate. But in general, we have done something that is unprecedented. We have clearer skies than we had last year. We have dramatically fewer cars on the roads, and our world is a little healthier than it was the year before. And all of this feels like good news to me, but is also fleeting, because a time will come when industry will resume and things will become more normal. The most striking and hopeful part of this article for me was when the author speculated that this pandemic has done something else for us. It has shown us what might be possible. As a person of faith and as an eternal optimist, I have been turning that possibility over in my mind, and it has led me to a deep sense of hope. What has changed as we have been forced to halt our lives? What has changed as we have spent more time listening to that song of creation? What is changing as we see our streets empty of cars, as we make time for long walks, as we plant gardens, as we get out our bikes and make time for doing things in a new, slower way? The circumstances of this discovery are dreadful and terrible and horrifying for all of us. But I think that the glimpse that it gives us of what our future could bring is truly lovely. What if we lived at this slower pace? What if we put our cars away more often? What if more people worked remotely from home so that there were fewer commuters on the roads? What if our skies were clearer, not just during a pandemic, but always? This is my hope this Earth Day. And it's a hope that seems less like a dream and more like something that might be a reality. That the song of creation has connected us again to who we truly are. That the natural world all around us is where we belong and is a source for groundedness in our lives. That healing is a possibility, not just for the many ways that humanity is broken, but also healing for our natural world. Friends, as we begin to move towards our transition into our silent waiting worship this morning, I would invite you to hold with me that hope for our planet. Let us take time to center ourselves today into creation all around us, to listen to that song that is glorifying the Creator, that is singing of beauty and wholeness and groundedness. And let us look forward into our future, the future that we want to build together. That when we move from this time of social distancing, as we move forward, may we do so with a new rhythm, having glimpsed that something that before was just a dream, And as we move into this time of silent worship, I would invite you to hold with me these queries or questions. How has connection with the natural world, with sunlight, air, trees, grass, gardening, hiking, biking, how has this help you stay grounded as you face stress and uncertainty? What could you imagine taking with you from this experience into the new future that is before us? A future that is still very uncertain, but is slowly unfolding. Is there something that you could commit to trying in the next months or in the next years to come? Something to help our planet be healthier, something that you have learned to do during this time of social distancing. Friends, we're transitioning now into our time of silent waiting worship. I would invite you, if you're able, to take a few minutes, 10 minutes, 5 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, an hour, whatever is possible and good for you, to take time and to sit still, to be attentive to your breathing and to your heartbeat, and to listen in that silence for how the Spirit is alive and moving around you and in your life. Friends, I am so glad we were able to worship together this morning.